My name is Ben, and I was actually helping an insurance agency grow about 2.5 years ago, maybe about 2 years ago. And we went from just under 10 agents to about 40 agents, 14K a week to about 140K a week in just under 6 months. And all I did was really just implement some basic administration, right? And basic policies and SOPs and KPIs and, simple things to really just help it grow and improve. And I had no idea what the hell insurance was at the time. And I am by no means the leader in any sort of way on any sort of front with regard to this kind of information. But I'm very interested in just sharing my experience, what I've been through, things I've learned, and hopefully this will add some value to someone out there. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys today. So before I jump into those 5 things, I did also want to share a point of observation, something that happens to a lot of agents, as far as teams or agencies, like people that are really trying to build their teams. And there's something called a leadership growth gap. And it's basically the gap between your team's current state and where it needs to be for growth. Okay. So many insurance leaders struggle to bridge that divide, right? Like they have a hard time being able to bridge that. So they run into things like recruiting issues, training challenges, and a lot of effort without results, right? So like spinning your wheels and not feeling like you're making any traction or, gaining traction or having any sort of real success. So, agents will leave when the reality doesn't match expectations, right? There's high turnover. There's resources that get drained, right? And as far as the training challenges, there's going to be low productivity, like, people that are not producing at a high level, right? And that occurs when skills don't actually create results, right? So your training may not fit how your agents learn. So you might want to adjust that. Now, I'm bringing up these things also in case other people want to comment and let me know what else they would like to hear about, things that they run into, if they want some assistance in addressing those things. If I want to hop on a video call and just shoot that and put it on here, whatever. I'm open to anything. So as far as, the effort without results, you're working harder without strategy, and that leads to burnout, not growth. Your systems might be the problem. So this is kind of the stuff that, the people that I was helping at the time were going through. And so I call that the leadership growth gap, right? There's a gap. And it comes from recruiting issues, training challenges, and effort without results. So I can touch on that at another time. But these are the top 5 mistakes that insurance team leaders make that kill growth fast. And I'll go ahead and get into it. So the first one is pretty much recruiting before producing. So a lot of the times, and it applies to any industry really, if you think about it. So people will often try to build a team in some sort of an area of work, right? Something that it looks good, it makes sense. You just got your license in real estate or whatever it is, and now you want to build a team because building teams, that's how you create fast, lasting results, and people like the camaraderie of it and things like that. And it's all fun and it's amazing, right? But the thing is that you want to spend about 60 to 90 days getting consistent results. And you can apply this again to anything. But what I noticed was in insurance, it wasn't until, we really put our heads down and produced and got results before we could take that step into recruiting and creating a team, right? And there's a lot of reasons for that. You want credibility. You want to be able to show your team, not just tell them how to get the results, right? If you need to jump on a call and close a deal for one of your guys and show them, right? Rather than just tell them, that makes a huge impact on your people. And it shows them that you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing, and you are a leader that leads from the front. You're somebody that shows, leads by example, right? So you want to build credibility by documenting success stories and interactions with other people, any training calls and things like that. You definitely want to keep that stuff, which kind of ties into one of the next ones, right? But you want sustainable recruiting, right? So the way to get to sustainable recruiting is really having a foundation and knowing what it means to do the work. You got to have that first. Then you need credibility, meaning like you've documented and shown the success stories of how you're able to do it. And at that point, you can really start some sustainable recruiting because you have something to show people that has value. You can show them how to fish, right? You can teach them how to do the work, how to do the job. And so that allows those people to not just listen to what you're saying and get an idea, but they can actually see you in action and see how you deal with this kind of work. So those are the things that I would recommend. And that's the mistake number one, is recruiting before producing. So going into mistake number two, no clear onboarding. So a lot of the times we start to recruit or invite people to be part of the team or start pitching them a dream or an idea or like what we're going to do and all these amazing things, but we don't actually make clear onboarding. So when people actually join us, people are going to judge you by the first impression. People are going to get an idea of who you are by how you interact with them, right? So you want to be able to build a lasting first impression, and that's going to happen only if you have a powerful, clear onboarding path, right? So you want to simplify a path, right? So you want to have a checklist or a method that documents and shows them exactly what to expect. You want to set the expectation straight from the beginning. This is what you will expect these days, this timeline. Here are the tools that you can use. Here are your contact points so that you know who you can talk to at any time they're running into something, right? So you want to make onboarding very clear, enjoyable, fun, exciting, engaging. Like you want your guys taking action. I've seen it happen that someone gets hired and they don't get clear instructions. No one reaches out to them for about 5 or 6 days. And then they're like, hey, next step. And they're like, oh no, they changed my mind. So if you're going to put in the work to get people in, you're going to get their attention, you're going to get their commitment, and then you're not going to deliver and get them to see what you're made of and what you're there to do for them, right? Because they're there to build value with you. You need to show them that first, right? So you want to document the process, right? You want to use something like Skool or Google Docs so that you can actually have a repeatable template or system that works and lets you, run the onboarding from point A to point Z. And you want it to be structured and try to keep it in a certain amount of steps that works for you, right? So usually like a 3-step onboarding system, right? Like collecting all their basic information, including like any information that they may need if they're going to be starting pre-licensing, like all the data you need about them. Then you want to show them what to expect, and then you want to give them a checklist of these are the steps, and then carry out those steps. But like keep it simple. It doesn't have to be super, super exaggerated. But that's pretty much it. So mistake number 2 is onboarding not being clear. No clear onboarding. So going into number 3, trying to do all of the training yourself, right? So you want to be able to, at the beginning, you need to train people yourself, because it kind of goes with that, with what we went over already, which is like being able to show and document that you can get results. Well, you want to train people and get results of you training people and getting them results. So you also want to find something that documents that and records that. So doing Loom videos like what I'm doing right now, this is a perfect way to set this up so that you can also take those videos and share them, and you can use them over and over and over again instead of having to repeat yourself a million times, and you'll still repeat yourself. And one of the biggest things I teach people about being leaders is repetition is not a burden. Repetition is not a problem, an issue. Repeating information or orders or things that you need from the people that you're serving and helping as a leader is part of your job, right? And repetition is what builds strength, right? So it's the same thing. Your team's going to get stronger the more you repeat a message and you insist gently that they get it and that they do it. So rather than feeling that every time you have to repeat something, it's a weakness, no, it's a strength in you as a leader to be able to recognize that it takes some care and insistence that people actually get the message, and then just get them the message. So you want to do things like, going back into more of the training stuff, you want to do things like group role plays, where agents learn from peers. You want to maybe have a spotlight where the top agent is explaining what they did for the week. You want to perhaps create group breakouts on a Zoom call where at a certain time of the week, people get to train on the things that they felt they most ran into that were issues or were difficult. And you can survey these people on your team about this on a daily or weekly basis, whatever works for you, right? And then the other thing is you want to promote leaders, right? So you want to delegate training responsibility to leaders. So the people that want to build their own team under you, You want to empower them to do that by getting them to lead and teaching them to do exactly what you did and what you do. But you want to give them that position so that they can help you build, and they will help you train and recruit people. And that way you don't have to do all the things, all the heavy lifting yourself, right? So that's mistake number 3, doing all the training yourself. Don't do that. Now we go into number 4, and this is the 4th mistake that most make, and which is no culture, just commissions, right? So people get on a call to get recruited, and sometimes the agents or potential agents will just go right into it and say, what's your comp breakdown look like? What's your comp structure? What do you put us in at, right? And so it's kind of like having a sales call where, even in insurance, if somebody calls and they're like, they want to know about insurance, they're like, hey, how much does this cost? Hey, Joey, I'd be happy to give you that information, right? Let me go ahead and ask you a couple of questions so I can help you the best way that I can, right? So you don't necessarily want to just answer that question immediately with what they're asking for, because there's no value, in that. It's the same thing when you don't have an actual culture or a way of operating and a way of doing work and business and how you guys do things in your team or the way that you want to build your team. And if you only talk commissions, then people are looking for families. People are looking for stability. People are looking for accountability. People are looking for people that are going to make them show up to work. People are looking for individuals that will push them enough and gently enough, but caring in a fashion that will actually net them improvement. You only want to be around things that make you happy and add value, right? Think about it. You don't want to show up to a place where you're not appreciated, where you're not given credit where credit is due, where you're not given a chance to shine or show what you're made of. It's like you want to be part of a team that understands and recognizes those things, right? So a couple of things that you can do is make sure that you do team shout outs, right? So obviously like recognizing any sort of achievements, making sure that any production that is stellar or obviously like above and beyond, it needs to be recognized in any sort of chat, which you can use the Slack community, or some people use Discord, right? And you definitely want to have, your weekly, monthly, whatever, quarterly group calls where you just share successes, wins, any sort of production that has elevated the group to a new status. Definitely have a way to connect like on a daily, in a daily fashion, like a platform that does that for you, that fits, what you need, right? And then do personal connection, right? Don't just do the group shout out, like then reconnect with your agent or the person and say, hey man, very well done. This is exactly what we expect. And you're setting the pace for other people to take this in and go, wow, this is how we do things, right? So have group win calls, personal connection, team shout outs, and use a platform or a place where you guys can do that. Now, jumping into the last one here, this is mistake number 5. You think it's very like obvious or simple or whatever, but honestly, it's this simple. People talk about it, but they don't actually do it. And that's mistake number 5 is no KPI tracking, not keeping track of your key performance indicators or your statistics, right? The way that you guys produce needs to be measured, right? And the thing is that you also need to have your sub KPIs, right? You have your main KPIs, right? Like, and then you have your sub KPIs. So you need to know which are the main ones, like cash collected, deals closed, the amount of, if you're a setter, appointments set, right? So each position, right? For an agent, it's usually, annual premium written or number of people enrolled into Medicare, whatever it is, right? But you also have your sub KPIs, right? You need to track things like your dials, right? How many applications, your closing percentage, what the premium was, like all of these things need to be tracked. And so the easier you make it and like more hands-on you do it for your guys, the better it is. But you definitely need to track your KPIs, right? So the last thing I want to share with you guys here is simply what I call the success formula, right? And that's, you want to build credibility first, right? You want to prove that your system works. So get in the reps, do the work yourself, make sure you know how to do it and replicate it, right? Then you want to use onboarding automation, right? A systemized way of, or a repetitive process that gets you the same results every time somebody comes in through your hiring funnel, right? Then you want to distribute your training responsibility so you don't have a bottleneck, right? Like having a pod leader, someone who's in charge of the first 4, and then those 4 guys get primed and prepared so that the next people that come in, 4 go to each one of them, right? And so on, so that people are not also falling between the cracks, right? Avoid becoming the bottleneck. Then you want to create a strong culture, right? Build loyalty beyond commissions, do things that really impact the lives of people, right? And then you definitely want to track your key performance indicators. You want to track this at all times, and you're going to have the sub KPIs and then your main KPIs. And so measure what matters. So these are the kinds of things that I like to talk about. If there's anything specific you guys would like to talk about with me, you can always drop a comment. You can always reach out to me. And if you're ready to build, a team, if you want more assistance building a team, you can always access my full team building funnel. It's a complete system that I took and ran with. And this is how I built up the agency that I did and achieved success. And it had to do with, putting recruitment first. You can join our free Skool community and connect with us so that you can see how we do what we do. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. And you can get all of my information on how I built the funnel from recruiting to hiring, and how I set that up in a hands-off kind of way that really opened up my calendar, didn't waste my time, and improved the kinds of candidates that I was getting to have calls with that I eventually brought onto my team. You can implement these proven growth systems and strategies and start seeing results in 30 days, and it's completely free. And so that is the insurance agent hiring system, and that's going to be on Skool, and I'll drop a link somewhere, maybe in the description, but you guys can check it out if you would like. And otherwise, I appreciate you being here. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one.